Hey, what's going on out there, YouTube family? This is Sammy Leggett here representing Team JVS. I'm back here again for another anime review. This one is taken from an IP that came out on an epic Sega console, that is Dreamcast, in 1999, I believe, in its first debut, and that is Shenmue. Now, I did not know. I had no idea that this was going to be made into an anime. And I will give you guys full context. I have never played Shenmue in my life. I know certain references. Of course, I mean, any gamer would know, what the elevations that Shenmue did. Even though I've never played the game, I know that, the backdrop of what Yakuza is now is from that. I mean, fighting style and a lot, even going and doing some research with this while I'm doing a review and seeing how they did shading, the graphic, the design during that time, what they were doing on the Dreamcast versus, I think a year later, PlayStation 2, like they was revolutionary. Like from a lot of different standards, a lot of people really loved it from what I've heard, but I have not played it, and I never have, and I didn't even know the history about the third one until I researched it, which is very fascinating. It was a Kickstarter, and it coming in what it was. Now, what do I think about this anime? Now, I'm an avid anime fan, and so when I was watching this, I was like, oh, this is really interesting. I had no point of reference, so I'm literally coming at this just raw. I would say it's an intriguing story, but it's just like your cookie cutter revenge story. Like, something happens very early on in the very first episode. And this would be a non-spoiler review in terms of me watching the first two episodes. So I can kind of give you guys some backdrop, but I'm not going to go into much specifics because it's about to drop really soon. The Ryu is this, karate expert that was trained by his father. He's very straightforward. He also has kind of like a little love interest here or there. And something happens really early on that sets him on a path of revenge and reconciliation and trying to understand what happened. And I think that one thing I'll say as far as the animation is all right. The animation is not bad. I've seen better. It's so weird. Like, I feel like they were trying to, because it takes place in 1986. Which I guess there's a purpose for that. I'm not really sure. But I feel like all this is like certain nudges where they wanted to try to look as much as they could, where this felt like kind of a classic kind of thing. So the shading and the lines are okay. As far as the combat, like some of the combat moves are really dope, but it feels really aged, which is weird to say when the anime just came out. When you look at something from Crunchyroll that came out, I think maybe a year ago, in the God of High School, like the fights and the animation on that look next level compared to what Shenmue was. And I'm not saying it is bad. It's just, I don't know. It seems really plain. It doesn't seem like very intriguing. It's nothing throwing at me, but the character in Ryu and what his capability is and what he's learned and where he's trying to go is something to watch. I think that like the voice actor's doing a really good job with it. Definitely some really interesting dark moments, but nothing that makes me feel like the character is in any real sense of danger, which is really weird. And I'm not sure if you guys had that impression when you were going through the game. I also feel like there's a lot of references here. I don't know who Tom is. It's a man with dreads, and he's on the side of the corner and selling hot dogs and whatnot. And I swear he's like a placeholder. Like it's almost as though, how like certain movies, they have like oh, okay, well, Pepsi or Sprite or whatever, Monster, like product placement. I feel like there is product placement that is significant to people that have loved the game, that if I guess the game, that you really can see, oh wow, I know this is coming. And I think that's what it's supposed to do. I mean, I think that there's so much anime now that it's okay, to have something completely dedicated. I mean, they've done everything from Final Fantasy all the way up to what we have right here. But the thing about it, from somebody that isn't, I'm not a gamer to it, and I've seen so much anime, I don't know if I care to get invested in moving forward with this when there's so many other animes. Like, Tokyo Revengers is probably one of the best animes I've seen in a very long time, just based on concept alone. But even with the action and the things that are happening in it, it's so intriguing because it's a revenge story, but it's not just as simple as 1, 2, 3. But I will say this, when the antagonist Lon comes onto the scene and what he's capable of and what he's willing to do, and I think that that's very intriguing. I think that side of it, I'm curious about his story. I want to see from his perspective or something like that. And then maybe that doesn't play towards the game. And maybe there's a whole reason behind all of this. But as far as the first 2 episodes, I think if you're a fan of the franchise, I think you will really appreciate it. And that's me not knowing anything. I feel like there's so many different references that make you, like, they pause on certain things, like, oh, this is very pivotal. And I feel like that's the case. And even with researching some things, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, this was definitely there. That person was definitely there. Oh, this reference of this other person was there. And there's also an interesting monologue with a certain character, 2 characters, matter of fact, that happens very early on that plays and cements into some things that are moving forward into the season. But this is the thing where I have to kind of talk about the negatives again, where I said this is kind of, it isn't cliche, but there are certain things where the character just does minuscule things. Like he might just have a random conversation, just kind of chilling, or like he's going and, you know, doing something with somebody. I think there was one moment, I kid you not, where there was a character that was like, oh, I want to do this with you. Let's do this. And I'm like, this is random. I'm like, this man don't care about this. But then he proceeds to do it. And I was like, okay. But they do use a point of reference to something his dad said, that make sure the people that you care about, you love, keep them close. And I think that whoever, you know, this kid comes in contact with, he's gonna treat with care and love and devotion. It just makes for weird moments when there's so much action that is capable with this kid when he's kind of doing kind of nothing. Which again, One Punch Man, same thing. Like, so maybe it's like Shenmue and the way it was designed was the thing that kind of platformed a lot of these other, because even with One Punch Man, like One Punch Man might play a video game, might chill. I mean, honestly, nobody can even beat One Punch Man, but yet, you know, when the action hits, it is freaking dope, especially the first season. I can't speak for the second season. But again, there are moments where he's like literally trying to swat a mosquito. And so, I mean, that's One Punch Man. So I can't knock Shenmue for that. I can only say that if you're a fan, I think this is something that you're going to want to be invested in and seeing where it goes forward. If you are an anime fan, I think it's enough to keep you engaged to be like, oh, okay, I want to see where this goes. But as far as the action, some of the action really just don't really hit. Like, and it's weird. There's also sometimes there's breaks that happen. It's like 1 day later or 1 hour before, and it's like it's not even flashbacks. Like, it's just like it's a small little break that happens. Like you're in the middle of a game and it's like, oh, continuing to this, and it's so. I wish honestly that this was just an adaptation anime, because it feels like they're trying to do point shoot. This is what the game is. This is your experience also with this. And I think that works and caters to the fans, but it feels just like straight up gritty and just like, okay, this is just all it is. And you couldn't connect the dots outside of the actual story. I think that'd be cool. I think that'd be much better, at least from my experience anyway. I'd rate this at a 7 out of 10. I'm curious to see where it's going to go. I don't know if I'm going to continue on to episode 3, but again, you should check it out yourself. Let me know in the comment sections what you think about Shenmue. I apologize if I've offended anybody. I told you ahead of time, I've not played Shenmue. I have no point of reference. I'm just gauging this as a critic, as an anime fan, as to what my experience with it was. And I've even told you that it's worth your time to check it out, especially if you know the source material. Talk to you guys later. Keep it locked. JVS, we ain't gonna stop. Peace, guys.